Okay, let's get into it. Today we're doing a deep dive into something really profound.
Hmm.
We're looking at the Suttanipa, which is this ancient collection of early Buddhist poetry.
Right.
Now, you see it described as maybe the most vibrant, the most rewarding of the minor works in the Pali Canon.
It's a good way to put it.
But look, this isn't going to be some dry academic history lesson. Our whole mission here is to cut right to the core,
Yeah.
to pull out the big philosophical ideas and the practical guidelines for living that you can actually use, taken right from these sources.
It's the perfect text for this kind of deep dive, really. It's so concentrated.
Concentrated,
That's
yeah.
the word. These are poems, and they're powerful, they're metaphorical, you have to savor them, but we have to get one thing straight right from the start.
Okay.
A lot of people want to call the Suttanipa a uniquely early text, like it's this perfect snapshot.
The oldest of the old.
Exactly. But the scholarship just doesn't bear that out. It's mixed. You have incredibly old chapters like the Ekakavaga for sure.
Some of the earliest material we have.
Absolutely. But the collection as a whole, it has later editions, framing stories. It was compiled over time.
That's a really critical point.
Yeah.
So we're not just hunting for the oldest poem. We're trying to understand the whole collection, the whole movement of thought inside it.
Precisely. We're looking at how it rejects old ideas, how it sets up a new kind of ethics, and how it charts this path to individual freedom. It's Buddhism in its rawest form.
And it does not ease you in. It
Yeah.
just it throws you right into the deep end with this incredible image.
Uraga Sutta.
The serpent, the uraga. And it's this metaphor of the serpent shedding its skin. I mean, you have to imagine, for a monk in ancient India, a snake was a real daily danger.
Mm-hmm.
So to compare the spiritual seeker to this powerful, mysterious, even dangerous creature, it gives them a certain power.
It does. It connects them right to the cycles of life and death. But this is where the paradox comes in, and it's a big one in your sources. The text says the mendicant has to shed their skin, abandoning the near shore and the far.
Wait, okay. For anyone who knows the basics, the far shore that's Nibbana, that's the goal.
It is.
So why on earth would you let go of the goal, of the far shore? That feels like a contradiction.
It sounds like one, doesn't it? But the sources you provided, especially that reference to another text, SN 35.241, it clears it right.
At the tree trunk in the river.
Yes, exactly. That simile is the key. To reach the ocean, the log can't get stuck on the near shore.
Which is the internal senses, right?
Right. And it can't get stuck on the far shore either, the external senses. It's not about location. It's about not clinging to the entire duality of experience.
I see. So when the snake sheds its skin, it's not just getting rid of the old identity, the near shore.
It's also rejecting the need to cling to some future state, some transcendental goal. The freedom is right there in the act of non-attachment itself.
That is just, it's so fascinating because it shifts everything from a goal you have to reach to a process of continuous release.
Yes.
And here's where it gets really good. Your sources suggest this wasn't just some random metaphor he picked. This was a deliberate shot across the bow at the Upanyatic tradition.
Oh, it was absolutely a rhetorical move. You see this constant intellectual dialogue, this crossover between early Buddhism and Brahmanical thought.
And they used the snake metaphor, too.
They did.
Yeah.
In texts like the Bahadanaka Upanad, the snake shedding its skin was used for the exact opposite purpose.
How so?
For them, it symbolized the survival of the true permanent self, the Atman. You shed the body, the skin, but the essential you that's revealed, that survives.
So if the Upanishads used it to prove a permanent soul exists.
The Buddha takes the exact same image to completely reject that very idea. It's a profound intellectual mic drop.
Yeah.
He uses their imagery. He agrees that desire causes suffering. But when he talks about the shedding, there's nothing about a new or revealed self. The whole point is the shedding.
The freedom.
The freedom. The realized person finds no substance anywhere because it's all contingent. And putting that right at the start of the Suttanipa, it frames the whole book as this foundational statement on non-clinging.
Okay, so from that deep philosophical rejection of a permanent self, the text then moves outward, doesn't it?
It does.
To a social rejection of defining people by birth, which makes perfect sense. If there's no permanent soul, no Atman to define you, then what does?
Your actions, your ethical conduct. And the Suttanipa delivers this critique with just incredible force. The best example is the Vasala Sutta.
The low life.
The low life, yeah. The Buddha gets called a low life by this Brahmin because of his birth, And his response just shatters the whole caste system.
And that core quote,
Mhm.
it's just monumental. It stands up to this ancient social structure and
You're
said,
not a lowlife by birth.
nor by birth are you a Brahmin.
You're a lowlife by your deeds. By deeds, you're a Brahmin.
It's a complete redefinition of worth based purely on what you do.
A total inversion. And yet, what's so fascinating is that the Suttanipa doesn't just, throw the whole concept of a Brahmin away.
Right. This is where I got a little confused because there's another text, the Brahman Tanapika Sutta.
SNP 2.7, yeah.
And it seems to praise the Brahmins, painting this idealized picture of them in ancient times. What's going on there?
It's a brilliant rhetorical strategy. It idealizes the ancient Brahmins. It paints them as these renunciant seers who basically lived like the early Buddhist monks.
So not the corrupt ones of his day.
Exactly. They were focused on meditation, not wealth. The Buddha is essentially saying, that ideal you claim to follow, the pure, detached renunciant, that's my path. What you're doing now is a corruption of your own tradition.
That's a powerful way to claim the moral high ground. And the details it gives about them are surprisingly accurate, historically.
They really are. It says they practiced harmless sacrifices. Now, that's a huge point because earlier Vedic texts are very open about sacrificing bulls and oxen.
But not these idealized Brahmins.
No, they wouldn't slay cows. They called them best friends, the fonts of medicine. It's this beautiful, tender image.
A clear ethical statement.
Yeah.
And there was that one specific detail about their education that you pointed out.
Yes, the Brahmacharya, the studentship for learning the Vedas.
Yep.
It says it lasted 48 years.
48 years. I mean, that's an entire career for most people today.
It's incredible. And what's amazing is that this detail is backed up in actual Brahmanical law books, like the Brahayana Dharma Sutra. So he's drawing on real history.
But he's picking the details carefully.
Very carefully. He's choosing everything that praises a life of renunciation and austerity over a life of ritual, power, and wealth.
So the lesson for us, it's that this conflict we see all the time between a spiritual ideal and an institutionalized, powerful system. It's ancient.
It's fundamental.
This whole debate about what makes a good person, deeds, or birthright, has been with us from the beginning. All right, let's pivot. From the social world to the internal struggle, to the power of solitude. And you can't talk about that without mentioning the Kagamisaka Sutta, the famous Rhinoceros Sutta.
Live alone like a horned rhino.
It's the ultimate image, isn't it? Tough, independent, spiritual grit.
It's a very strong ideal. But again, the context is everything. There's a paradox here we have to look at.
Which is?
This poem that praises the solitary, wandering life. It was preserved and passed down by settled monastics.
The very people who chose community over solitude.
Exactly. So the sources suggest these verses were used as a call for renewal.
Like a spiritual pep talk when people got too comfortable.
Precisely. To remind them not to let community politics and comfort dull their edge. And the fact that verses 11 and 12 got added in, the ones that say, find a good companion, but if not, live alone.
Yeah.
That strongly suggests it was used to address disputes, like the big falling out among the monks at Kasambi. The rhino ideal was a challenge to the compromises of community.
So if the rhino is the challenge of solitude, the balance of that has to be the Metta Sutta.
SMP 1.8, yeah.
Yeah.
Universal love.
And I really appreciate the choice to translate it as love, not just loving kindness. It feels more direct. It gets at that spiritual sense, agape, rather than just sensual love.
It does feel more immediate. And what's interesting about the Metta Sutta is that today we see it as a core Buddhist practice, but its original purpose was probably much broader.
How so?
It likely ended with a promise of being reborn in a heavenly realm, the Brahma realm, which suggests it was taught to, non-committed followers who just wanted a good outcome in their next life.
So it was a tool for everyone, not just advanced meditators.
Exactly. Then later, an extra verse got tacked on about avoiding views, which connects it straight to the themes of the Akavaga. It became a practical meditation for people prone to arguing, a way to cool a heated heart.
Speaking of heated hearts, let's talk about where that internal conflict actually comes from. The Atthadana Sutta talks about the Buddha's reason for leaving home, and it wasn't just some personal crisis, was it?
No, not at all. It was prompted by what he saw outside, the sheer horror of war.
The conflicts between the big kingdoms.
Kusala and Magadha, yeah. He saw the effect of that violence on ordinary people, and the text says he saw humanity floundering like a fish in a little puddle. It sparked an existential crisis.
He realized that to fix the conflict out there,
You have to go in here.
He had to go inward.
Right. And that search led him to identify the core problem inside us all. The dart.
The dart. That's the ultimate metaphor for suffering.
It is. It's anguish, and it's caused by greed, hate, delusion, conceit, all the things that are buried deep inside the human heart.
But here's the real nugget for the listener, the part that actually matters.
The realization.
The realization that follows.
Which is this. If the dart lies within us,
it can be extracted.
It can be extracted. It's not some external evil that you're helpless against. It's a wound, but one we can heal ourselves.
And pulling it out stops you from doing two things.
Yes. First, it stops the running around, that endless, fruitless search for happiness in external things like wealth or fame.
And second,
it stops the sinking down, the apathy, the laziness, the nihilism that comes when you just look at the world and give up.
Extracting the dart gives you your agency back.
Completely.
That focus on conflict coming from our own internal states, that leads us perfectly into the core message of the Hakavaga, the chapter of the eights. Its main theme is just how dangerous it is to be attached to views, even right views.
Especially right views, sometimes. The text is so sharp in its critique of philosophical debaters. It warns that getting obsessed with any ideology, any theory, that just leads straight to conflict.
And this critique is delivered with, you said, a kind of surgical precision, through these tiny technical details you might miss.
That's right. The texts usually list 4 ways of knowing things. What is seen, heard, thought, and the 4th one, cognized, or vignetai.
Okay.
But what's really strange is that the Adhikavagga often just leaves out that 4th term. It omits it.
Now, that sounds like a tiny academic footnote. Why does leaving out one word, cognized, matter so much to people who study this?
It matters a great deal because cognize refers specifically to the highest kind of insight you get through deep meditation, the direct knowing that leads to awakening.
So it's not just thinking or believing something.
Exactly. By leaving it out, the Adhikavagga is basically saying, hey, I'm not talking to the advanced meditators right now. I'm talking to you, the person who gets their beliefs from faith or reason or what they've been taught.
The people most likely to get stuck in dogma.
The people most likely to cling to views and get into arguments. It's a critique of intellectual fundamentalism.
And the ultimate lesson that comes out of that critique is what?
Total self-reliance. It is the most relentless, unsentimental message in the entire collection.
I think you said the text states it 6 times.
No less than 6 times in different places.
Wow.
One person cannot purify another. You cannot outsource your own liberation. The sage has to do it themselves.
And that freedom is described with this beautiful paradox at the end.
Yes. The fully realized person is neither taking up nor setting down.
They're beyond grasping, but also beyond needing to not grasp.
Because they've already let go of everything.
Oh.
There's nothing left to let go of. They just dwell in that quiet, non-attached state.
And then finally, the Suttanipa wraps up with the Parayanavaga, the way to the far shore. And this last chapter seems to kind of solidify the whole structure of the teaching.
It does. It provides the logical framework.
The
The questions the students ask Bhaveri and the Buddha's answers, they're often built on these numerological structures.
Like schools of 2?
Right. 2 extremes, 4 noble truths, 16 items. It's showing that the teaching, the Dhamma, isn't some mystical random thing. It operates on clear, ordered principles. It's a map, a logical, effective guide to freedom.
What an incredible journey. I mean, from that first philosophical move, rejecting the permanent self with the serpent metaphor, to the social revolution of saying your deeds, not your birth, define you. And then realizing the biggest battle and the biggest freedom is all internal, pulling out that dart of suffering.
The Suttanipa just leaves you with this one overwhelming message. Attachment to any idea, any theory, any definition of who you are. It leads to conflict. It binds you. The path the Buddha lays out is about total freedom, and that comes from non-attachment to everything. So the final thought, the question for you, for the listener on this path, is this. Given that liberation requires you to be totally honest about your own beliefs, what's the most difficult view, the most cherished idea or ideology that you hold right now? The one that might still be binding you to some needless conflict or frustration in your own life?
That is a difficult question and a very personal one, something that really demands reflection. Thank you. Thank you for guiding us through this and for providing these amazing sources. Until next time.